Hey, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Harmony One. I do want to say that I'm not a financial advisor. You should do your own research before investing money into crypto. Now, if you haven't seen the previous update, make sure to check that out before watching this one so that you have more context. Now it's going to be in the top right hand corners of your screen. Also, I have two donation links down below in the description. If you want to support Ukraine, you can do so by going over to the official websites I linked below, and you can donate directly to the funds. Thank you all for the support, and thank you all for watching this video. Feel free to leave a like and share if you want to obviously share this and you think this might help some other people, your friends, your family. Feel free to share it around because that does help out the channel during these bearish times. So let's get into the technical analysis. So as you can see right now, Harmony One, not too much action since our last update. That was on September 21st. We had a nice bounce from this support of the falling wedge that we are in. The yellow trend lines, as you can see here, represent a falling wedge, and we're sort of breaking out of the wedge right now. We are opening a second candle outside the wedge, which is a bullish sign because we are breaking through a multi-month resistance trend line. Well, I would say it's a multi-week resistance trend line because we bounced off of this trend line on August 13th, then once again September 13th, and right now we're breaking out September 27th, which is really good, but we're being suppressed by the 20 daily EMA. As you can see, the yellow moving average here that we have is holding us down. We did see a wick all the way up to the golden ratio here, and I did mention this in the last video. You have a golden ratio, the 0.618 of the Fib retracement at 0.02171 cents. And if you did take some profits over there, you're already down around about 10%. So that is a good buyback, opportunity for you. And obviously you can see that the lines here represent a head and shoulders pattern that we are in right now, and so far we haven't lost the neckline. As you can see, we're doing pretty well in that regard. So if you start losing the neckline, you're going to see a target to the downside all the way down here to the 1.618 of this Fib retracement at basically 1 cent exactly. And I don't think we're going to see that unless Bitcoin has a major capitulation and we drop back to $14,000. Then I would only, imagine that Harmony One can do something like that, have this large wick to the downside, and have that quick V-shaped recovery. That is a very, very possible scenario that we could see in the coming months because the financial markets are not looking very healthy right now. But Bitcoin is doing very good throughout these bearish times and throughout these economical struggles. Bitcoin is performing very well in my opinion. So this just goes to show that Bitcoin is the best sort of hard money that we have in out there, and this is one of the best ways to secure your funds and to secure your buying power or purchasing power, I should say. So yeah, let's move over to the daily RSI here. As you can see, the white diagonal resistance trend line over here is sending us back down over here. We had a couple of fake outs in the last couple of months, but we did see rejections from this level in January actually twice, then once again at the end of March, and then you had a little move towards the upside just slightly in July, and a couple of fake outs during the summer, one fake out in September, and then you came back down, you rejected it as resistance, came back down, and another rejection here. So the white trend line is valid. The yellow trend line is something that I'm keeping an eye on as well, but I'm pretty sure you're going to lose that anyway. And then you might start testing it as resistance as well, because we've had multiple bounces from it or off of it as support. And if we start losing it and we start hitting our head on it, that's going to turn into a resistance level. So keep an eye on that. And also you have a nice buy zone here, anywhere from 36.6 all the way down to 32.09 on the index. Those would be great buying opportunities because historically every time you had a move into that area, you did see a nice bounce to the upside. For example, here in August, you had a nice bounce towards September, and then you had a rejection from this zone during the summer and May period of time. Then you had a bounce from April into the middle of April. And then you had a bounce from March towards the beginning of April, another bounce here from January towards the beginning of February, the same thing in December towards the beginning of January. So as you can see, every time you're in this zone, you typically see a bounce. Sometimes you have a little fake out below, but then again, you have another buy zone here. And if you do enter this zone, then that is basically a golden opportunity to enter Harmony 1, because once you're below the index of 30, you're basically oversold, and that means that a lot of people are selling. And we all know if most of the people are selling, you should be there buying and sweeping the lows, so to speak. And if you want to take a look at the Fibonacci retracement that I have on, then this is my swing high over here, August 12th, and the swing low over here, July 1st. And this gives us the 1.618 target at 1 cent. And currently, we are slightly above the 786 Fibonacci retracement. So what I would do is I would target 0.0170 cents, as that was the low that we printed here at the end of June, and we may retest that low. But so far, we're holding this low. We're not losing this low, which is a very bullish statement from Harmony 1. So if we start losing this low, at that point, I would start targeting 1 cent. But still, I just don't think that's going to happen unless Bitcoin gives the heads up, right? Or gives the green light for altcoins to drop. Otherwise, I don't see Harmony 1 coming back down to 1 cent. And if you take a look at the price action and you just zoom out a little bit, you can see that this is a very good buying opportunity, because as you can see, if you were buying all the way up here, then right now is a great area to dollar cost average in here, because this is where you were back in March of 2021 during this parabola. And right now you do have this sort of range over here. So this is the high and this is the low of the range, and you're kind of bouncing in between, which is something that I told you could happen, which is why I have these two trend lines here set up, and I set them up a very long time. And let me just bring, as you can see, that trend line at 0.03426 and this trend line here at 0.01725. So this is the range that I'm looking for. And if I just start zooming in a little bit more, so if you can see that this low over here did hold, but I didn't have this trend line. I had this trend line before we printed this low, believe it or not, because this was the low that we printed all the way back here in March, as you can see, or in February of 2021, as you can see, that is the low. So that is why I had this trend line on the charts. So this is not because we printed this low in July, at the beginning of July. So from that low in July, you did make a nice 94% move during a bear market. So that's a nice 2x, guys. And yeah, this is why you stick with the channel. This is why you want to have all of this on your chart, because it is important. And if I just zoom out a little bit more and show you the larger fib, because you can see I have two Fibonacci retracements, then our swing high is going to be all the way here in January of this year. And the swing low is going to be in June of 2021. And we have our 1.618 over here at 0.01309. So that is another potential support level that we might have in case of a capitulation. And that is where the 1.272 is of the smaller fib over here. So there's two Fibonacci levels in this zone. So that's why I think that level may have some confluence. And if we see a capitulation, I would potentially have some limit orders slightly above 0.01309. So keep that in mind. Obviously, a major resistance level for us moving forward is going to be the golden ratio here at 10.5 cents. That is something you want to keep an eye on when we start moving towards the upside, getting closer towards the golden ratio. You really need to break that and backtest it as support, because you don't want to start retracing all the way up just to get rejected from the golden ratio and then have a very strong move to the downside, because that is usually what happens if you get rejected from the golden ratio. Now let's quickly switch over to the Binance website. So moving into November, I'm expecting a relief rally in October and November, and we may see a bounce off of the 20 EMA here, which is currently sitting at 0.03891, and that would be a very, very solid 93% move towards the upside. So yeah, and right now you're basically at the lows that you were in June, and a rejection off the 20 EMA is something that I would expect. The last time we bounced off of the 20 EMA was back in February of this year. So it has been a long time since we touched the 20 EMA, and it has been a long time since we were above the 20 EMA. In fact, we haven't been above it since January of this year. And the gap in between the 20 and the 55 EMA is getting rather large, and the gap in between the price action and the 20 EMA. So I am expecting a move towards the upside in November, and I do think we may run into the 20 EMA. So just be on the lookout for that. Looking at the weekly RSI, as you can see, we're starting an uptrend on the RSI, and I would say our first major resistance level would be all the way up here, okay? Because that is the level that we bounced off of in March of this year, and this is the level that we ran into in February of 2020. So this level has a lot of resistance currently, because this was a previous support turned resistance. So we just may run into that level moving into November, and from there we see a move towards the downside, okay? Now, if you manage to break above that, great, we'll take a look at more levels, but for now, I would say this is our major resistance level to break at 40.8 on the index. So if I missed out anything important on the charts, guys, please let me know down below in the comment section. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. Feel free to join me on Patreon. I drop in my trade alerts, my low cap gems, podcasts, your technical analysis requests, your video requests. We had a couple of nice swing trades in the last 2 days. So yeah, feel free to check that out. Links are in the description. I'm going to catch you in the next one. Goodbye and good night.